Good afternoon. A nice warm afternoon in St. Louis. Thank you all for being here. Mayor Bloomberg, Chancellor Martin, Ohio State President, University President Michael Drake, I am so thrilled to have all of you here with us today for this exciting announcement. It is a great time to be the mayor of St. Louis. We have so much momentum going. We have, as I mentioned earlier to Mayor Bloomberg in the office, we have $8.5 billion worth of construction either recently completed or under construction. As you can see here, there are cranes in the sky and dumpsters on the curb. And as I'm fond of saying, I love the sight of a construction dumpster. That tells us that people have the confidence to invest in our city and to make our city an even better one. We have a vibrant, fun, walkable city, one of the best food scenes in the country, world-class travel and world-class educational institutions, top-tier universities. We're a top market for startups, and every day more and more young people choose to live here in St. Louis, where they can start up, stand out, and stay. So with the help of Bloomberg and Washington University, we are one of the cities leading the way to address the world's pressing climate challenges. You can see here we have a little banner about this. And we are one of the cities who we believe can make a real change in this area. In October, Bloomberg Philanthropies announced that St. Louis was one of Bloomberg's American Cities Climate Challenge winners. And yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for that. And this national initiative supports cities and their efforts to reduce carbon emissions and promote a sustainable future for our residents. As a winning city, St. Louis is now on a path to improve energy efficiency in public and private buildings, to develop a comprehensive solar action strategy, and to accelerate the availability and viability and use of electric vehicles. We know that 97% of the total greenhouse gas emissions community-wide come from our building and our transportation sectors. And so I am really proud to say that one of the first Midwest cities to pass a building energy awareness ordinance a couple of years ago, which requires operators and owners of buildings that are 50,000 square feet or more to report and disclose their energy usage. What we believe is that by reporting and disclosing this energy usage, we give tenants the opportunity to make the right choice on where they'll locate their office. And they'll choose, we believe, to locate in a building that is more energy efficient than not. We're also setting aspirational goals. In 2017, just a couple of years ago, the Board of Aldermen passed a resolution that the city will commit to 100% clean energy by 2035. I want to recognize President of the Board of Aldermen, Lewis Reed, who led this effort and was very important. You know, aspirations are important. Where you want to go is important, and this is an aspiration for our city and has caused us to take some important steps. So with climate challenge resources, including additional staff capacity, technical assistance, we look forward to building off even more success. I want to say thank you one more time to Washington University, to Ohio State University, to Bloomberg Philanthropies, and all of the stakeholders that are here today. I want to recognize the city's Director for Sustainability, Catherine Werner, who is here today, and she has led a lot of this effort for the last 10 years. And now, please join me in welcoming UN Special Envoy for Climate Action and the 108th Mayor of New York City, Michael Bloomberg. Thank you all.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having me in this wonderful city. I came from New York, where it was cold this morning. I didn't think I'd like cold that much, but now it's starting to look better. Anyways, Lyda, thank you for the introduction and for your leadership on climate change. As the mayor mentioned, St. Louis was one of the winners of the Bloomberg Philanthropies American Cities Climate Challenge. And we invited the 100 most populous U.S. cities to submit proposals for cutting carbon, and the response was extremely enthusiastic. We were planning on announcing 20 winners, but there were so many strong proposals, we raised the number to 25, and we are now trying to help those 25 cities put their plans into action. The contest highlighted how cities are leading the way on climate change, even as leaders in Washington kick the can down the road or pretend that the problem does not exist. When President Trump announced his intention to withdraw from the Paris Climate Summit agreement, cities all over the country, including St. Louis, I'm happy to say, stepped up to say, we're still in. And they were joined by thousands of businesses and some of the country's biggest universities, including one of the great universities here, Washington University in St. Louis. And I have been honored to deliver the school's commencement speech tomorrow. Do I know what I'm going to say? I think so, but we'll see what happens. Seriously, colleges and universities have a critical role to play in fighting climate change, and WashU is a great example. The school is home to the International Center for Energy, Environment, and Sustainability, which supports research by students and faculty that can help us confront climate challenge. And that research helped St. Louis take an inventory of greenhouse gas emissions, which is allowing the city to target its biggest sources. And as I've said before, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And so studies like this really are important. In New York City, Columbia University helped our administration develop the most detailed local projections of potential climate impacts that any city has ever done. And we're also joined today by Ohio State University President Michael Drake, and he's helping put that school on track for zero net emissions and share its expertise with public and private partners in Ohio. So that school is also making a big difference. As universities really are a force for innovation on sustainability and climate change and so many more things. And the more we can support their work, the faster we think we can make progress. To help make that happen, I'm glad to announce that Bloomberg Philanthropies, in partnership with WashU, will create the Midwestern Collegiate Climate Summit. It is the first ever summit bringing together universities, businesses, local governments, and nonprofits from around the Midwest to tackle climate change. And the first one will take place next year, and I don't think there's a better place for it to be hosted than WashU. That school is, yes, they deserve a round of applause. That school is at the center of the region and at the heart of a city helping to lead the charge. And the summit, we think, will help other Midwestern cities learn from St. Louis's success, cutting carbon emissions and building resilience. The terrible flooding across the region this year just shows how serious this is and how urgent this challenge is. And if we don't do something, that's going to get worse every single year. It is causing enormous damage and suffering, and we have to do something about it, even if our government in Washington will not. This summit will bring together colleges and universities to collaborate on research and forge new partnerships and new commitments, and it will help universities share best practices on cutting their own emissions, which can make a very big difference. WashU and its affiliated hospitals, and I'm sure you know, are among the biggest employers in St. Louis. And universities play a similar role in countless cities and towns across America. So by them all switching to clean power and encouraging others to join them, universities can take a big bite out of the city's carbon footprint. Through this partnership, we'll help WashU bring together institutions in the public, private, and academic sectors to fund and buy more solar power. The technical term for this effort they'll lead is aggregated procurement. What it really means is the following. When customers who want more solar power get together and buying power multiplies, that makes new investment in solar power more effective and more attractive for investors, which is what you have to have. Of course, there are even more important reasons why universities are leading on climate change. And tomorrow, when I address around 3,000 of them as they graduate, I'm going to make sure that I mention what has been done, what is being done, and what can be done. Young people today, maybe more so than people of my generation, understand the urgency of this challenge. and they're not going to stand by while our leaders do nothing. This is their future, and they all seem, in this day and age, the days of millennials, they all seem to want to actually do something rather than just listen to other people talk about it, or in some cases deny that it even exists. They are taking action through their fields of study and the careers that they are going to pursue. In last year's midterm elections, young people made their voices heard in rallies around the country, and in the 2020 election, they will be a force to be reckoned with at the ballot box. Candidates who ignore that reality, I think, do so at their own peril. And that's why we're seeing more from both sides of the aisle acting more aggressively to take on climate change. If you look at Washington, climate change has gone from something that didn't exist to a communist plot to something that we have to deal with. People do evolve. When they look on television and see fires and floods, when they see people suffering and casualty companies having to pay more out in insurance claims every year, the issue of whether climate change exists has gone away, and now they focus on why it is, how it's caused. And we all know that some things cause it, and we've got to do something about that. We're seeing more aggressive action from both sides of the aisle, and by supporting universities, we can support the young people who are inheriting our future and who are leading the charge to protect it. So our foundation is thrilled to be able to work with leaders here in St. Louis. We've been lucky to collaborate with them before, and we think we'll have a lot more to do. Let me turn it over now to the new Chancellor-Elect of WashU, Andrew Martin. Andrew?
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mayor Bloomberg. Good afternoon, and thank you all for being here. I'm glad to see so many members of the community together as we forge this partnership and build on our mission to improve the lives of our students, as well as individuals living in the region, in the country, and around the world. I want to especially thank Mayor Krewson, Mayor Bloomberg, and President Drake for being with us today and for sharing their vision for the Midwest Collegiate Climate Summit and the work that will surround it. I'm grateful for the leadership and for your collaboration. At Washington University, our International Center for Energy, Environment, and Sustainability has been committed to finding solutions to the looming threat of climate change ever since the center's founding in 2007. Many higher education institutions across the region have also worked diligently to advance their efforts to become more sustainable and extend those efforts into their communities. But it has been made clear that our efforts in isolation are not enough. We cannot afford to work in our own silos. We owe it to our region, to the country and the world to do better, and better begins today. This is an extremely critical time in our local, national, and global context, and it is equally critical that we pool our resources and come together to work toward the good of the whole. Without collaboration to address the threat of climate change, we would not be where we are today. Consequently, we would fall short of the imperatives set before us and the trajectory we must follow in order to sustain the world in which we live. To that end, we at Washington University are well positioned to serve as the anchor university for this initiative and are fully committed to the task at hand. Here at WashU, we see sustainability as one of our greatest missional responsibilities. That's because the threat of climate change is not just an environment or hard science issue. It's a public health issue, a socioeconomic and racial disparity issue, a business ethics issue, a political and legal issue, a parks and recreation issue, a design and an art issue. It's all of our issue, and it will take all of us to find solutions. Solutions through engineering, solutions through architecture, solutions through policymaking, solutions through historical, geographical, and social scientific research, solutions through social work, solutions through business and entrepreneurship, and solutions through medical research and patient care. Through this partnership, WashU can continue to build strong regional relationships with other universities, colleges, businesses, and leaders. We will also be able to reach beyond campuses to help local communities and regional partners set and achieve climate goals. In addition, and with the support of Bloomberg Philanthropies, we will be able to expand support to the city of St. Louis and other communities within the region. As I said before, this is a critical time. It is also an exciting time. I am both personally and professionally thrilled to see this collaboration come to fruition and to see Washington University at the forefront. I look forward to working with each of you as we strengthen our resolve, roll up our sleeves, and forge ahead to confront this life-threatening issue. Thank you again for being with us as we celebrate this announcement and occasion. I would now like to introduce my colleague, President Michael Drake of The Ohio State University.
Well, thank you very much, Chancellor-Elect. You know, it's often I'm saying I'm the only thing between the audience and lunch. Today I'm the fourth speaker on a hot day, so I'll get right to it. And actually thinking about, we're speaking of climate change, and I see the Chamber of Commerce is invoking the old way we spoke of this, of global warming, to show us that there really is something happening. So I appreciate that. And I'd like to also begin, if I may, by thanking Mayor Krewson and by thanking Special Envoy Michael Bloomberg and Bloomberg Philanthropies for their support of this very important initiative. We have several other initiatives that we are collaborating with Washington University on, and so this is another way that we can work together here in the Midwest to be our very best. This is a unique opportunity to convene Midwest schools, public-private partnerships, and local and regional governments to address the shared challenges of climate change. Together we'll share brainpower and best practices to advance and scale solutions to uplift our communities. Like Washington University, The Ohio State University is deeply committed to climate change and climate change solutions. And to be successful, we know we need to address our challenges from multiple angles, from our curriculum and research to community engagement and innovative operations. The students at The Ohio State University and at all of our institutions motivate much of our action these days, and they give me hope on so many fronts. This spring, we approved the most significant overhaul of our undergraduate educational requirements in the past 30 years, and our new approach will include a focus on citizenship with sustainability as a core pillar. We also need to continue to attract the very best scientists and empower their discoveries. I'm proud that The Ohio State University's oldest research center is the Byrd Polar Climate and Research Center, which was founded in 1960, and since 1960 our scientists have been collecting and preserving ice glacier cores, some actually from glaciers which no longer exist. This work continues to help form the bedrock understanding of how humans are changing our climate. As institutions dedicated to providing affordable and excellent education, we must operate as good stewards, fiscally and sustainably. Our recent public-private partnership in energy management is one way that The Ohio State University is bringing new expertise and financial resources to meet our energy demand and reduce our carbon footprint. And finally, to address climate change at scale, universities need to lend their collective research enterprise to public policy development. For Ohio State, this has been one of the most exciting aspects of joining UC3, the University Climate Change Coalition. UC3 members have strong records of translating knowledge into action, while using their campuses as sustainability laboratories to innovate around best practices and to engage students in research and action. As research universities, we are committed to creating a deeper understanding of climate change and working with our communities to implement solutions. Thank you all for the opportunity to be here today. I look forward to our work together as a part of the Climate Summit to create brighter and a more sustainable future.